Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Tonight, we're gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it rain.
Well, welcome in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live. Sorry, my camera's kind of moving there. I shook the desk a little bit, and my dog is behind me getting comfortable. So don't mind her. Don't mind her at all. I think you can even see her. I don't know. I thought you could see her over my shoulder, but I guess you can't. But welcome in, everybody. It's good to see everyone. My name is Tanya, or Titanium Built. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining us tonight. If you're not new, thanks for coming back and joining me for another live. I do appreciate that. I appreciate everything. But welcome in, everybody. It's good to see everyone. This is our third live today. I know I said I was going to cut back on the lives, and we did 3 today. So just, this is like a big day of, lives. I'm going out with the bang. I'm not completely stopping my lives, but I am going to do more pre-recorded videos. If you did miss the live from earlier today, make sure you check that one out. Also, we did a live over the sentencing of Emmanuel Haro's father, Jake Haro. And if you didn't get to see that, we did that on our second live at 5 o'clock. So there's so much to watch. There's just so much to see. So welcome in, everybody. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Carolina. Hey, Princess, welcome in. If you guys don't mind, will you take a second and hit the like button for me? And we're going to get started in just 1 second because it is a long interview. Hey, Bree. Hey, Casey. Hey, Catherine. I didn't realize they talked for 2 hours. I was like, dang, that's a long time. Which, I mean, I think it would be easy to talk to the Goncalveses for 2 hours. I feel like they're a nice couple, I could see them being very like able to, hold a conversation, keep the conversation going. One of those types, those types of couples. Hey, Dawn. There are some couples that just, you talk to them and they're like a brick wall. Yeah. I think they're definitely not that. Hey, Mary Beth. Welcome on in. Did I say hi to Catherine? I know I highlighted it, but I don't know if I said hi to you. Hey, Dan, welcome in. Welcome in. I swear when I'm not on camera, I can go through your name so fast. But when I'm on camera, I think it's like I don't know. I don't go through them as fast. Hey Donna, hey Janet. I noticed that earlier because whenever I wasn't on camera, I was like, psh, psh, psh. Hey Lenora. Hey Ashley, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Hey Casey, welcome back. Welcome in, welcome back. It's good to see everyone. Hey Crystal. And I am going to grab the link for the memberships. Hey Dion, before I forget. Hey Maga Mama, it's been a little while since we saw you, I feel like. And if I miss your name, I'm so sorry. Just put it down in the bottom. Say, hey, you missed me. Hey Kara. I think I'm getting towards the bottom anyway. Hey baby girl, hola. Yeah, Rocky Balboa, that like. That's what we call our cat. Because his name's Rocky. He's named after Rocky Balboa. My it's funny because my dad always wanted a boy dog and he wanted to name him Rocky. And we went to the Pound like Humane Society to go pick out a dog because we saw a dog on Pet of the Week. And my mom was like, that's the one. They only had a girl left, right? So my dad was like, no, I'm not even going to touch, I'm not even going to hold the dog. Well, my mom's like, just hold it. So he held her for like 2 seconds. He's like, we'll name her Adrian. So I grew up with an Adrian. So then when I got my cat the year that my dad passed or the year after, my mom was like, if you're going to keep him, she's like, you're naming him Rocky. And I was like, that's a good name. And it's literally perfect. Hey, happy mom. It's Joe. It's been a while. How you doing? Look at that. Maga Mom has been a member for 4 months. Aw. And thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. Hey, Mr. Rosebud. I thought I was down towards the bottom. Hey, Jolene. I think we're getting there. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. That's awesome. Whenever it's 6 months, your arm will change again. I love that. Yo, Adrian. That's what my dad would do too. And it was funny because Adrian was a runner. She so it was very appropriate. Rocky, on the other hand, he has 2 sisters that are dogs that are huge dogs compared to him. And he will straight walk up to the dog, like these 2 dogs, and just smack them right in the face. Like the other day, I just tell you, I know you guys are like kids with the stuff, but he did like a boxing move on Mia. She just stood there like, and then of course she ran because she's scared of him. They're all scared of him. Yay, yay. Hey, Fireflies, welcome in. Okay, so let me grab the link for the channel membership. I'll pin it up at the top if anyone wants to become a member throughout the live. We'd love to have you. I will still be doing some members lives, of course. And that's where all the tea's going to be spilled. You know, we're just going to be in there talking. Hey, Tracy, welcome in. I don't know if I saw you. Were you in here before, Tracy? No, you weren't. You just got here. I'm like, we did 3 lives today. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So last night, right before my live started, I saw that Chris McDonough with the interview room had a few people on his panel, two of them being Kristi and Steve Goncalves. And I was listening to it and I only caught like maybe 3 minutes of it. And it was just, they were talking about the documents that have just come out and how they weren't even aware that like Kaylee's fingernail clippings were like going to be shown and stuff like that. And so it's sad because these parents none of these families are getting these documents any faster than, the internet is really. Anybody that put in a FOIA request that can afford, to pay the money, they can, get those documents. And then what a lot of times is what we do is when we get documents, we get excited. So we come, and bring them right to the internet. Right. And like, we're just reading them up. So, I don't know. Now that I know it, like now that I've heard that part, I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for them, like that they don't have these documents and they didn't have the prosecutor sit down with them. Like I've never heard of a case, and I'm not saying I know of a lot of murder cases because I don't, but I've seen the first 48 a time or 1,000. And every time I've seen the first 48, when it's come to families and someone getting murdered, especially somebody this age, right? Or anywhere from like 18 to 20, like early 20s, they'll sit down, like the investigators, they'll sit down with the whole damn family. Like you'll have the aunts and uncles, cousins, the whole crew will be there. It'll be like a family reunion. And the cops will tell them all, like, this is what the evidence is, and this is what we can do, and, things of that nature. We didn't see that in this case. We didn't see that even a little bit. Like, and that's sad because, they have to, they really have to, she's getting comfortable now. They really have to, grieve and see these documents come out. And if they are on the internet, if they do click on an Idaho 4 stream, that's what it's going to be. So let's listen to what they have to say. I don't know who this Karen lady is. So Dr. Gary Brucato is a doctor, obviously. Chris McDonough is Chris McDonough. He's ex-police, and he does one of the missing foundations. Cold Case. That's what it is. Cold Case Foundation. Sorry. And then Karen, I don't know who she is. If you guys can let me know in the chat, I'm sure someone in the chat knows who it is. So this is just a couple minutes in. It's after he stops playing like the music and stuff. So, and it does go for a while. So we'll leave it at normal speed. If it's a little slow, then we can always speed it up a little bit.
We have Dr. Gary Brucato, who's the author of The New Evil. And you'll see that he's catching up from his Chinese food that he just finished. And
Happy
that's the
birthday,
reason we were late.
Fireflies.
He was running from the subway, I'm sure of it, in Manhattan, up the stairs to get the link. But we're so excited to have Dr. Gary Brucato with us, who's a clinical forensic psychologist. He's also the author of The New Evil.
Okay, I thought so. I thought that was his wife. I was like, okay. She's pretty. Wow. Okay. Good for you, Chris. I don't know why, but for some reason I was like, I think that's actually his wife after I said that, but yeah, she's pretty.
And as the link is below, which is, he also holds the largest study of over 116 years of mass murderers in the world. That's the largest study that's ever been completed. And he is an amazing human being with a psychology practice as well in Manhattan. So if you're in that area and you need a good doctor, give him a shout out. But more importantly tonight, we have Steve and Kristi, Kaylee Goncalves, mom and dad, back with us this evening. And we are grateful to have you guys here. Thank you so much for trusting Karen and I and Dr. B with your hearts and your story. And we also want to quickly thank our mods. And we have Teresa M, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Sophia, Miss Sophia, and Laura. Thank you
Look at the dog
for being here. And who's your puppy? I forget what the puppy's name.
This is Jujubee, and she's definitely she definitely wants some screen time.
Oh, Steve said she wants her mama. That was cute. Okay, I thought it was really cute.
Well, we'll try to get her as much as possible. This is
a little upset that she has had to wait this long.
Yeah.
Karen, what
She's like, it's my time.
are your thoughts? Just kicking us off here this evening.
Well, first we want to welcome back Kristi and Steve. Thank you so much for being back here. Gary, it's always good to see you.
Oh.
And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We hope to have a really good discussion, hear from Kristi and Steve, hear what's been on their hearts since sentencing in this case. And we always want to remember the victims, of course. First, their daughter, Kaylee Goncalves, of course, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. We're a victim-centered program. We try to be as much as we can. And we want all of you to hear what this family is continuing to go through from their perspective. And we want to be as sensitive as we can in the process as well.
Yeah, and that's why we have Dr. B here tonight to help us walk through some of the situations. As you guys know, just recently, like Friday, as an example, another 2,300 documents dropped into the public domain. And these are the kind of things that, quite frankly, if you are not aware of it, or those of you who have been victims of, family members of violent crimes, every time something like this is put into the public arena, and let's say they're not aware of it, then that's like taking them back to day November 13th. It starts all over again. And what that process also feels like, it re-empowers the dirtbag that is responsible for these the whole reason we're having a conversation tonight. And so we like to take away that power here in the interview room. And so most recently, well, the first thing I want to say is about your amazing daughter, Olivia. I mean, what a home run at the hearings. What do you want to say about her and what you guys were feeling as you were watching her dismantle, quite frankly, this guy?
I was not aware of Olivia's speech, so it was all new to me. And I had been listening to everybody's speech, obviously up until Olivia. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like she's doing amazing. And the way she articulated everything was just so just deep and just really in your face, and you have to hear me. You can't put me out of your head. And I was so proud of her, so impressed with her. She came with that, like she said, I'm not here for me, I'm here for my sisters. And that's what she did, and we were just incredibly proud. And when she was done and sat down, it may be the only time in history that most of the room actually clapped at a victim impact statement. But everybody started clapping, and I was like, are we really clapping here? And I'm like, we're clapping. So Steve jumped up and went over and met her and hugged her. But the courtroom,
that hug was beautiful. It was very sweet. It was very, very sweet.
Clapped. And we didn't realize the impact of it fully until after we left. And we were just getting messages from all around telling us, Olivia blew up the internet. We were like, oh my gosh, we hadn't even had time to look at any of that. And for a short time, she did. And it was for Kaylee and it was for Maddie. And we were incredibly proud for that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Olivia also recently continued to show her courage and bravery. And she recently sat down with the prosecution by herself. She went there and sat down with them. And just from your perspective, the answers that she got, if she felt like she got answers, how did you feel about just the fact that she did that on her own, but also the outcome of that? Do you feel like she got questions answered, and was she satisfied as much as she could be from that?
Well, the thing is, we've raised girls much like how we raise our son, to be independent, be strong, look at things in a way that you make up your own mind, and you don't just buy what somebody's telling you. So Livy's no different than Kaylee, and when you see her speaking, that's the way that Kaylee would have spoke. That's the way her sisters would have spoke. They're in different parts of their lives where they've they've been prosecuted for being victims of this crime. We've had kids, we've had our daughters literally go to friends' houses to spend the night, and they find out that they're involved in this case, and they literally say, you can't spend the night here, because they're afraid that there's some kind of thing coming after our family. So they couldn't stay there. So that's why the younger ones have tried to avoid being part of this case as much as possible, just so they can just make their own paths and not be walk into a room and have everyone know who they are and make a decision about who, if they're good or bad.
Too late.
So yeah, our children going through this has been very uplifting, and I think it was the opposite of what this individual who committed this crime. He thought women were weak. He thought women were inferior. They shouldn't have been in his class. They shouldn't have been a part of the whole exercise that he was putting together. And in the end, he had women that stood up in that courtroom they were probably a lot stronger than the men that were in that courtroom. I feel like. And I wish there would have been a little bit more strength in that courtroom, and a little bit more determination, and a little bit more accountability. Praising somebody because they call you your honor is probably the lowest common denominator of something that you should praise. So, we had kids that were raised different, and it showed in that courtroom, and we were proud of them.
And Olivia made that meeting all on her own. She set that up, and then she, scheduled her flights up here and whatnot. And I said, oh, Dad will go with you. Stephen will go with you. I will go with you. And she said, no, I want to go by myself. So she did go down by herself. That's what she wanted to do. I do feel like she found some answers. Not all answers, because there really are a lot of answers that they can't answer.
They don't have all the truth.
Just so many. And we understand that. It is, that's just something that our family has to grasp. But I do feel like she has a better understanding, and from what I understand, she did look at some of those incredibly hard crime scene photos that
did she review those? Did she look at those?
She did, and she did.
And she knew that me and Kristi didn't want to see those. We didn't want any.
Autopsy
That
photos.
was the last memory that we wanted. So it was something that she individually, as a sister, had to do. It was her path of truth. And for us, she was like, my parents don't need to be here for me. This is something I can walk on my own and cross these paths, because there were certain things that to her wouldn't be complete unless she did them. And that's what that meeting was about.
Yeah.
And just for the record, that's the puppy snoring.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry.
Jujubi.
No,
No, it's adorable. We love it.
Adorable. It just, again, it shows us, I think Kaylee's here in the room, and she's probably got that puppy working, overtime here for us. So we, God bless her.
She loved dogs.
She loved girls.
All the way up to Murphy. I mean,
Yes.
when she left our family, that was a missing part of her, was like, I'm so used to having a dog. I'm so used to having this family that we have, where I have these siblings. We don't go to bed at night by ourselves. We're watching a movie. We're having popcorn. We're doing all those things. So she got Murphy as a thing. And we're like, no, girl, you're not in a place in your life where you can have this big dog. And she was like, I can do it. I can make it happen. I'm making a good amount of money. I can pay for this dog. I can take care of it, Dad. And I was like, time and energy, commitment, because we love dogs. But she did it. She pulled it together, and just a little insight on the person that they were. You can see people through their actions more than their words. And what she was doing with that dog kind of shows what kind of a person she was.
Yeah, no question about it. So I'm curious, how about you guys? Let's let's kind of level set a little bit further for our conversation tonight. How are you guys doing? I mean, just in general.
You know, speaking on like just being an onlooker looking in on Steve, like I think a lot of times you don't see yourself from the plea. We'll go to the plea. When the plea happened until now, initially Steve just spiraled so bad after the plea deal. Like I saw a person that I had never seen. You know, just the anger in him just was incredible. Like he had no patience. He was just so short. And I mean, I was praying to God. I was just like, please, like, let this not be like the new him. Like whatever this plea deal has, it has, brought out something in him that, you know, you don't want to bring out. And it was through, you know, even the sentencing, but those times were very, very hard. And I really just felt like now's my time that I need to stand up and I need to be here for my husband as he had been for me through everything. You know, I felt like I had almost like failed him to a point that I just took. And here I saw like the struggle when it came down to the end and how it was so important for the end to have been differently. And I just really felt like I needed to step it up and just support him and understand him and tell him how I knew he was feeling, and his feelings were valid. The anger, you know, at the prosecution,
I think she's referring to those last few days, like the last couple of days in court, like the last, you know, like this, the plea hearing and then the sentencing and everything. Like, I think it was a lot. Because remember, Steve was outside. He wouldn't even go in, but she went in. And I think maybe she, in a way, wishes she would have stayed with Steve outside and like, you know, because he was really upset that day. Like, he really was. It was really sad.
It was just this whole spinning out of control with no control. When you have absolutely no control, when you know, we try to keep things in control in our lives, like most people do. You want to have a sense of, you know, obviously everything you can't control. There's things that come from the outside, but for the most part, we have control of our lives. And to have every aspect of your life just completely out of control is so hard. And just so hard to navigate those days, those roads. And, you know, and then we went to court on that plea and he would not enter that building, you know, and I thought up until the moment I would be able to change his mind and he would walk in there with me. And he just was like, no, I don't agree with this. I am not going in.
I was right.
And, you know, we went in by ourselves. It was just a huge.
So when you lose a child, you need a prosecutor that represents the family, represents your child, represents what you like. It's very personal. He's defending my daughter, and he defended her like a weak coward. That man doesn't deserve Kaylee. He doesn't deserve that representation. And to align myself with him and that team was just, I did it because I had no choice. I would have sold everything that I had to go buy my own prosecutor. If I could have just had Shannon Gray in that room and prosecute for us, I tried to do that. I tried to be my own prosecutor. I literally was like,
it doesn't work that way.
Save the state of Idaho, all this. Kaylee, and I wasn't asking the other families to be it. You get the death penalty over one murder. Let's not act like you had to have all the families on one page. One murder gets you the death penalty in Idaho. And he played that, and he played the families against each other. He didn't tell us what happened to Ethan. We didn't know any details about him. We didn't even know the details about any of the other victims. So to have the totality, to ask us to go forward and say, do you want to make a plea deal, and not give us the totality, not give us the common respect of what this individual did, just showed me what a low character man this prosecutor was. Such a low character person that he was going to subdivide us and put us in silos and then ask us to make a decision that literally held him accountable for everything he did without the facts of everything he did. He purposely lied to us. He purposely manipulated us. And that was unacceptable for me. And I let him know that. That man knows where I stand. And it put me in a spiral. It put me in an anger-filled spiral because I had somebody who manipulated all the families and got what he wanted, which was the weakest way to deal with this killer. He didn't stand up to a bully. He caved into him. He negotiated with him. He asked him for terms. He took all the strength that he could have had and he gave it away, and he groveled. He got on his knees. He begged for this guy to literally do this plea deal. And it's disgusting. And
what they should have done, in my personal humblest opinions, is brought all the families in, sat them all down at the same table, and said, if you guys don't want to hear the details of what happened, go ahead and get up now. But every parent that wants to sit here and they want to know the details of what happened, we're going to tell them. Because I think that you have the right to know if your child is murdered in a house with 3 other people, I think that you have the right to know how those 3 other people were murdered. That's just my personal opinion. I think you can make more decisions that way, better decisions for what you want to do. I mean, I think that they should have been able to know what happened to everybody. I think they all should have known, all the families. Because then when you lose your child, that's horrific, right? That's horrific. I couldn't even imagine that. But losing 4 in the middle of the night, it's it's beyond comprehension.
He just let us down. And we hope to fix the story when it's all said and done. But today it is what it is. And we do these kind of interviews to let people know where we stand.
Very respectful, for sure. I mean, there's nothing that I can say that Karen could say, evident of the fact, we've not been in your shoes with such the violence that you've had to hear about towards your daughter, and then to feel, to your point, the betrayal in relationship to how everybody handled it. From the get-go, Karen and I were saying from the beginning, and Dr. B, when we first started thinking about the perpetrator, right? We thought, okay, well, this guy's going to be, whatever he was, okay? And it turned out, that we were correct. And then you get a DA, who stands in there and, right after the problem, he's on a media tour with huge smiles on their faces here, as an example. He's crying in the courtroom. And then, of course, you had that emotion, coming from the judge simultaneously. And I have to be honest with you, in my experience in the justice system, I'd never seen anything like it, ever. And I think in the fact that you are defending your daughter, starting with the first round fired from Olivia, and the way she carried herself for your family, but in totality, the way your whole family has carried yourself, and quite frankly, other family members, of course, from the other victims. Okay. But now we're into reality here. The cameras have faded. The holidays are coming. The birthday just went past. Okay. And everybody's going, okay, well, what's the next case? Well, guess what? There is no next case for Steve and Kristi and Ethan's parents and Maddie's parents and Xana's parents. There is no next case. It is this case. Okay. And it will forever be this way. And my personal opinion is the system through the district attorney's office and the school they treated you incorrectly and disrespectful as a family of a violent victim or of a violent crime. I mean, Gary, what say you? I mean, chime in here.
Well, I've been gathering a lot of thoughts as I'm listening to all of this. I mean, I think it's important to go back to one of the most basic principles at the center of the profile that we presented before there was even an arrest of the killer in this case, which is that this is a person who would live a restricted mechanical existence because he was a control freak. And that kind of person would be frustrated that there was one thing in the world that he couldn't reduce to a science, which is how to get people to like him, to pay attention to him and like him and find him attractive and interesting, and became increasingly furious at women about that and their power and so forth. And I think the trouble is that everything that happened with him in the legal case colluded with the process of giving him a way of asserting control and feeling that the whole world was paying attention to him. And it's unfortunate that the people that were involved in that matter didn't take into consideration that you didn't want to reward anything that he did by giving him that. That's what was so beautiful about Olivia getting up and slamming him, because having a young, gifted, intelligent, attractive woman knock him like that reset the control game and basically said, even now, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. Sorry. And I think it's what if she hadn't done it? Then where would the control lie right now? So I think that it's very beautiful that she got up and did that. And I think by doing that, she gave a voice to precisely who it is that this killer was trying to snuff out in the world. And I think in addition to that, I mean, I'd like to hear if you guys agree with this, but I think even now you see these pathetic attempts to still control everything, to be the center of attention, to manipulate. And it's all one big giant domination and control game. And I like that you guys say, absolutely not. It's never going to happen. And Chris, Karen, do you see what I mean about this control game that's still be going on? I mean, Kristi, Steve, doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's still trying to control shit in jail. He's trying to control his meals. Who can talk to him through the vent system? Peru. Yeah, he's still trying to be trying to be controlling. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And we're so over it. We're just so over it. Hearing him complain about, I want to be moved to this other cell, like literally requesting to be moved to another cell, or denying just recently our restitution. Okay, yeah. Is it really about money? Everybody knows he's never going to pay a single dime. So why do they care if that's like the most astronomical number in the world? What if it's $1 million? Who cares? But it just is like that control, that, denying our restitution, wanting to argue and fight over that. He's not getting his banana. This guy over here is bullying him and saying rude things to him. It just goes to show that he feels like he is on the top. He controls it all. And I'm done with his narrative. I'm done.
Here's another thing too is, as America, we need to understand that our schools and our colleges are so far radicalized that they can let a person like this feel like he can control the room. He can control, and he controlled every classroom that he ever was in. And he was harassing women like an absolute monster. And they literally just said, well, he's doing it articulate. He's smart. He's intelligent. The way that he harasses you isn't simple enough for us to just kick him out of the room. So all you women are going to all have to come together and come and form a unified message before we will honor the fact that we think he's actually behaving this way. And that's what we've been dealing with. We've been dealing with this bully in a classroom, and he's been doing it his whole life, where they were like, oh, he wants to be in the police academy. Go put him in the HVAC. He can't be around these girls. Well, why are you why does he even want to be a part of your school? If you got a really bad human being in your rankings, get rid of him. Don't go send him off to be somebody else's problem. This guy was just pushed all the way up to where he came to Washington. This guy had been problems his whole life.
But they just chalked it up to, oh, he's just so brilliant. He's just so smart. This is this brilliant mind that doesn't think like others. And, he's socially awkward. So we can't discriminate against him. And so the lines are blurred.
Red flags were everywhere.
Yeah, red flags were there, but the lines were blurred. So it made it difficult. I don't know, but it's just not acceptable.
Well, every building the guy walked into, it sounded like it was painted red.
Yes.
Right. Forget the flags.
I think women have a natural instinct when they
absolutely.
see somebody who looks at them from, I think you're attractive and I like you, to, no, this guy's looking at me differently. He's looking at me like prey. There's certain guys that give off a vibe that's like one of the people that made a police report was like, I see 300 or 400 people a day and I've never made a police report before, but this guy looked at me and behaved in such a manner that is so in her instinct. This guy is different. He is hunting me. He is a psychopath. And she went and like I said, 300-400 people a day through this coffee shop, just handing out coffees all day long. And I guarantee you there's inappropriate men flirting with her, doing different things, but it was BK. It was this guy. The way he looked, something in her said, I'm making a police report. I'm going to make a police report on this guy. And I think we got to start listening to these people that make these reports and stop, saying it's your word versus theirs. This stuff starts, the totality of these things start adding up.
Well,
Yeah.
It's very interesting because on the day of the impact statements, I was on a news program and I referred to the killer as being alien, as having an almost alien consciousness, like when you're with him. And it was pointed out to me, I was reminded that your daughter had used the same term about him when giving the impact statement. And I think what people are picking up on is that robotic lack of compassion and kind of almost scientific detachment that this person has. And I think you feel that, particularly very emotional people, children, even animals can pick that up. When they're around a person, they get the ick, but I think most people would have around him, unless you mistook him for just being super intelligent, and that's why he was cerebral and weird, But the other thing I would say is that underneath whatever psychological interpretations people make of what motivated this guy, I think at the center of it was this incredible envy, an envy of people who were happy and beautiful and had people around them without having to manipulate them into doing it. And I think, every time you guys talk and the families are together and so forth, and the world sees how much you love each other, how much you loved your daughter, I think that's the thing that gets most under his skin, is that this is a person who doesn't understand that you can't kill that. It's not possible to snuff that out. And I think it just maddens him. So you just keep.
He's mad because these kids were loved and they were liked by a lot of people. And that's what I think, my personal humble opinion. And he was not
doing that, keep loving each other, because at the center of it is a almost diabolical hatred of other people's happiness and having to destroy it, you see? And it reminds you almost of the biblical ideas about the devil, right? The idea being that the point is you destroy what you don't have. You destroy it. And when he goes around insulting women, you almost want to say to him, who are you convincing that women aren't that great? Is the idea that because you can't have one, you have to make yourself think that they're not that desirable? So you say, I don't care that no one wants me? See, that's the idea. It's like he's convincing himself. And, he protests too much in that sense, right? So I think the point is to to kind of convince himself that if he can't have one, doesn't matter. He doesn't want one anyway.
I think he's a stinking liar. I'll tell you right now why I think he's a liar. I mean, I think he's a liar for lots of reasons, but how about this one? Not in any of these papers have we read anything about Brian Kohberger's visual snow. I think that was another thing he did as a teenager to try to fit in because he wasn't fitting in at school. So maybe he saw this forum one night and it was the visual snow forum. I don't know. And he's like, oh yeah, look that up. I bet you. I bet you if we asked his parents, hey, Mr. and Mr. Kohberger, does your son have visual snow? They said, what's that? Never heard of it.
But he can't. So, Chris, Karen, what do you guys think about that?
I think you're right on target as always. And what's disgusting is, Kristi and Steve are 1,000% correct. I mean, the system shortchanged them by empowering the defendant and not the victims' families, because the victims' families speak for the victims. Because it's obvious, okay, that when Olivia got up there, she was speaking as if Kaylee was right there, and now mom and dad have to pick that torch up. But what people don't understand, what these DAs always, not all of them, but a lot of them forget, okay, is this never goes away. They move on in their careers. Like I said earlier, they go on their, journalistic tours and they, give happy faces and high five everybody. Okay. But here we're sitting with a family tonight who I guarantee you in a half hour or in an hour, something is going to remind them of Kaylee, something. And it does not go away. Karen and I, who, as you know, both of you, all of us, we lost a son, not through violence. Ours was an accident. So they're not comparable in nature outside of the fact that we each are in that club that nobody wants to be in. Okay? Yeah. Totally different, though. However, we understand that principle of, oh, wait, I hate Christmas sometimes because that was my son's favorite holiday. I'm not really feeling it maybe this year, and now we're 21 years into this, and your journey is 4 years into this already. Okay. Three plus years. Okay. Into this already. But the pain that you feel every time somebody stands up in the courtroom and says, well, Your Honor, we want to have a hearing about this restitution stuff. Okay. And then, you're going to go before this guy, okay, who was so moved in the case. I think one of the most disgusting things I ever heard in my time on this earth is when the judge leaned back to Ted Bundy and told him, Mr. Bundy, you're a bright, articulate individual, and I would have loved to have you, in front of my courtroom as a lawyer, but you chose a different path. Really? Really?
Yeah.
How about the lady that was Letitia Stauch's? This all wraps around. It was one of her expert witnesses, Miss Dorothy. Remember Miss Dorothy? Every answer was not shorter than a minute and a half, and I'm not even kidding. We timed it. She was the last woman to, I guess, kiss Ted Bundy, or he gave her a kiss on the cheek or something weird. I don't know. It was something weird like that. And she talked about it the whole trial. She said 4 times. It was weird. We should check. Is that trial on video somewhere? I bet you someone has that somewhere.
And so you have righteous indignation is what I'll call it. I will, support you guys 1,000% because, now you have to deal with this week with coming up with this restitution hearing. How does that make you feel?
Hold on. Even worse than that was one of our daughters called us. We were just out just a couple hours ago. calling and saying, I'm hearing about a movie. What's going on? And like calling us for like we are mom and dad. We have the answers. We know what's going on. And she's calling us, and you can explain the conversation because you were on it. But that's an example of the control that you lose. Like literally she's calling, she's like, I'm hearing that there's going to be a movie and this guy's going to be, BK and Kaylee's going to be this. How is this legal?
How can this happen, Mom?
I didn't do
How
that.
can this happen?
Did you guys
I didn't do
approve
that.
of this? Is this something that we're a part of? And we're like,
And I just told her that we were aware of it, and
This is crazy. Okay, so let me check something. I didn't send a message, did I? No. Okay, so earlier today, I don't know if you guys remember, but I said, oh crap, I exited out of a tab that I wanted to show you guys. That's what it was. It was they have a list of everybody that's cast in that new movie that's going to be about Idaho. So they have like Brian's character, they have Emily Lance, they have Maddie, Kaylee, and one of the officers or something like that. There's like 5 or 6 names. I was going to send it to Olivia on her TikTok. That's like just a few, like a couple hours ago, I was going to. That's why this is so crazy to me. This is from last night, but still, I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't that have been weird if I would have sent that? But I didn't send it because I exited out of it, or I probably would have sent it.
I didn't know how it could happen. And
Just because I feel bad that they're finding out things like after the fact, like when it's already out there. Like I saw this last night, I think it was, last night. I just was saving it.
we've lost
you
control
guys.
of our own
Crazy.
children's names.
yeah, like people can do it, honey.
It's another way of victimizing you. Like somebody murders your child and then they go and say, let's go turn this into a hell of a movie. And
Can they copyright or do anything?
everyone
Prevent
can
that?
go out on Friday, watch your daughter get sliced to pieces, have some popcorn and a double freaking endless soda. And we can make some money on it. And that's just the way it's supposed to go. And we are a fighting family. We want to fix the system. We are trying to make it better. That's why we held Thompson so accountable, because he had a family that was strong and he could have put his foot down and said, it's not every day I get a family that's willing to be this type of an anchor. But he threw that all away. He's always thrown that away. He's had 6 murder cases. He's never done any of them to a conviction. The guy's just a loser upon a loser upon a loser. Got to say it 6 times. Loser 6 times. I mean, he's gotten his butt kicked over and over and over. And
but there wins for him.
But he's not good enough for Kaylee. Kaylee was a rock star. Like as you see with Olivia, as you see with my children, we demand the best, and he's not the best. And I shouldn't be asked to have some weak prosecutor be the only option that I have. Even when I'm willing to raise the funds to go find the good prosecutor, go find somebody who really wants the job, who isn't on retirement mode and is just kissing everybody in the community's butt. I need a guy who sees an outsider from Pennsylvania, the East Coast, and says, I'm going to take this guy and make an example of him. This is like the perfect example. An outsider coming in, hurting, killing, and destroying our community. I'm going to hold him accountable to the highest degree. Thompson was never the answer. He never will be. He just needs to retire and get out of the way. He's a mess.
Hopefully that's happening soon. But
it's too late. It's too late. 4 souls were lost.
Are left with other things, in the aftermath, such as movies and, it just dropping and documents dropping and we just,
we didn't get a copy of it. We hired a lawyer. We did everything by the book, and said, release it to us first. Have some common courtesy.
They said they would.
Have some common courtesy to release it to us first. And they literally just gave us the bird and said,
they said they would.
We'll use your daughter's name to raise money and do all these fundraisers and do all this stuff. but you will not be treated any different than the common frickin' community member. And to ask me to back you, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm going to call you out for manipulating the situation.
So Steve, it sounds like what we're hearing is that with this latest document dump of 2,300 pages, so they didn't give you guys a heads up. They didn't tell you it was coming. They didn't tell you what was in there. And you had no way to kind of brace yourself for what was coming. And now it's all out in the public. And so this drip, drip, drip of these unsealed documents and hand chosen.
People are calling us to make comments on it, and they've read it before I have, because I'm at work. I'm working at a hospital. I'm helping keep people alive. Doing my job.
Good friend told me to stay off of it this morning because she said that they have their fingernail clippings, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's bad.
I was like, fingernail clippings. I'm like, okay, like, yeah. So I mean, how long?
If I was a parent, I would say, what in the hell do they need to be looking at my kids' fingernail clippings for?
Can I avoid it? I don't know, but today wasn't the day. So eventually, I'm sure I can warn the rest of the family. But how long can you?
We tried to be afraid of it so that we could pair our children.
Sure.
We are a large family, but at this point in time, we can't even keep up with it. We can't. It just gets released, and then they call us before we know, because nobody's even given us a warning. They used to let our lawyer know before, and then we could tell the kids, hey, stay offline. Stuff's going to be coming out. But I mean, probably because I've been critical of the prosecution, they're no longer trying to even pretend like they're helping us. Yeah, they're not going to try to help us.
Right, Gary, what's your thought? I see you sitting back there.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I don't really want to get into that thing of that movie, because I don't really like the idea of giving oxygen to these people that are doing this. I think we'd all agree it would be a good idea to not even get into that. But I do want to say that what I think is concerning about it is that if you do push the idea of not wanting Kaylee's name used, they'll present it anyway, and it'll be a story where it's like she doesn't even exist. My understanding from the press surrounding that movie is that it's going to focus on after the murders and the period of investigating and looking for him. And it's entirely possible that they're not even going to get into the reality of who the people were.
They're not, but they're going to tell the story of what happened to them first.
That were killed. And I think that part of me almost wishes that the idea would be to push for them to make her matter. As far as I understand, there isn't even an actress playing her. She's not even in it. So that it's the opposite idea of having some stranger portray her. It's more the idea of
that Kaylee's done been booked.
How do they make the public understand that this was a person, that these were people, instead of making it an interesting story about having some nice-looking young actor play a horrendous human being. So I think it's a very powerful topic and an explosive one, and I agree with you. It's going to be very, very difficult emotionally, and there's the distance between who a person really is and the way they're portrayed on the screen is unbelievable. I mean, all you have to do is look at a member of our own foundation, Ann Burgess, was turned into the TV show Mindhunter. There is no relationship between who Dr. Burgess is and the person on that show, right? It's a really good example. I mean, she's married to a man with many lovely children and was portrayed as a young gay woman doing things that she didn't do in that field. In other words, altered completely to make her more interesting in the eyes of Hollywood viewers. So I think it's a powerful topic, but I think my feeling about it is that I want it to come and go and have absolutely no oxygen, because it plays too much into the killer. Right. I think it's a good idea to just let it.
Yeah, to dovetail into a thought process here.
Yeah.
So Karen and I read all of the 2,300 reports,
Yeah.
Quite frankly, you know,
Took us about 4 hours, but
so you guys don't have to, okay? Because the reality of it is, there are no nuggets in there that will, shed light on your daughter. Okay, there are nuggets in there that the investigators were focused in the wrong lane. They had two fingerprints cards. It was L5 and L6 is what they're titled. Okay, and early on in the morning, and the reason I'm saying this so you guys don't have to go through and read all the other garbage about your child. Okay. Because a lot of it's obviously evidentiary stuff that they collected and, they sent it to the lab. So all these last 2,300 reports are all about lab reports. Okay. And the results of those lab reports. However, it gives us insight into what the investigators were doing. And within literally a day or so, they were chasing these fingerprint cards. And they were trying to, put it through every system possible. FBI, APHIS, DOD, et cetera. They were trying to identify a ridge on one of the prints at the window and the door. Okay. Well, simultaneously, though, they had information about the somebody that they thought was the person responsible for those fingerprints. It was a hypothesis. There were 2 cigarette butts that they recovered, so they believed that the suspect had been smoking, and so they sent those to the lab as well to get tested. Okay. The problem, though, is they got tunnel vision, and because the car, which was one of the the key pieces of evidence, they didn't get onto that until about the 25th of November. However, they believed they were following a suspect, and they say it in the report. One of the lab technicians has a briefing, and she says Moscow PD is on a suspect. They even name him, but his name's been blacked out in the report. And they were trying to surveil him to get a DNA sample, believing, since they found the sheath, that DNA sample potentially, could give them a solid lead. Okay. The problem that they had early on, though, is they didn't focus on the car initially. They knew that there was a white Hyundai, but they didn't put the pedal to the metal, for lack of a better term. They were focused on this other potential angle. Maybe it was a drug angle. Maybe it was because there were narcotics found in Xana's room, or at least a blue substance that they wanted tested for narcotics.
It was tested.
We still don't know what it is because
we do know what it is. He didn't read all the documents. That's why I read them all to you guys. It was amphetamine. It was and whatever. So it's okay. So it's the same. It was the same thing that's like an Adderall. It was like a blue Adderall. We read it on the paper. Might have been last night. Might have just been just last night. It was just last night.
They blacked that out either.
They didn't black it out.
But that's neither here nor there.
We read it. We definitely 1,000% read that.
Okay. But in their minds, and I'm speaking from an investigator's position, they're thinking, okay, is this something to deal with drugs? What's the deal here? And they started chasing that. And so they had 2 major pieces of evidence. The sheath, and that's the first part of all those lab reports in the 2,300 pages that was just dropped. And the second were the 2 cards, L5 and L6 are the two main ones. Okay. And then as you would read later on in the reports, you'll see what it talks about. They're surveilling somebody. Okay. The bottom line here, that car was available. It was available in Washington State University. That car had 11 tickets on it.
Yes.
At WSU. Okay.
Yes.
And once they realized that, i.e., when the chief sent his 2 officers out, or whoever sent the officers out who, were proactive in their investigative ability, those patrol officers ran that car in every direction, and they discovered his name, his classes, all this other stuff. Okay. I have a theory, and it's just a theory. My theory is when they started looking at that name, to your point earlier, Steve, all of those red buildings and those red flags started flooding the administrative offices of both universities. And so it was easier to say, well, he's leaving, okay? He's gone, okay? And then when they do get the DNA evidence back, whatever it was on the 28th of, December, okay, back from the feds and the IGG, et cetera. Well, when all that information comes on, well, he's already back in Pennsylvania. Here's the problem in my mind, and it has always been, and Karen and I have dove into this extensively. Simultaneously, rather than telling you, the family, of how the investigation is progressing, they're having meetings with the university.
That's the University of Idaho.
The U of I is having meetings also with WSU.
That's true.
And they are sending emails out about, let's create second rails here, okay, of communication that are for your eyes only, basically, right? Top secret stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep it off Whitcomb. They literally said, keep it off the 911 network.
Yeah.
Exactly. Keep it on the down low here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because they knew they had the car, but they didn't do anything about it. I think had they gotten that car on the 18th, when they, were in the arena there, for lack of a better term, we would have so much evidence in that car that the sheath would have been a bonus.
Yeah, totally.
So
It wasn't until he got to take it home to mommy and daddy's and clean it in their shop for.
I'm going to argue that car was already part of another crime. That car was part of a drive-through in a coffee shop where he was harassing a girl.
Okay.
And there's a police report that's out there floating where this female says, hey, I deal with 300-400 people a day. He's coming through my shop. He knows my last name. He knows my first name. I've never given him either one. And he seems to know my shift. So that car should have already been part of an investigation. So what your instincts are very close to the same instincts that we have, where something was going on, and
the tickets that he had on campus.
The tickets, and remember, he's returning to campus, so it's not easy. I had an investigator. My investigator can't just go to Washington State's university and just jump on there and start interviewing people.
Right.
It's private property. It's a university. They can't do that. They provided him a safe harbor. He committed these murders and these crimes from that location, which provided him a sense of protection. And that's where he ran right when the crimes were over. He did this little weird loop, but he got himself back into a little protected envelope where it wasn't easy for the Idaho State people, the police, to just go across state lines. And then now they had another obstacle. They had to go deal with a private business and say, hey, we need to go talk to these people on your campus because we've got some instincts that tell us that something happened in this classroom. Something happened here. And that's what
I think they've all been very tight-lipped about everything, though, as far as WSU goes. But yeah, they were
that
definitely
white
some
car
conversations.
was identified very early and
Yes.
never reported.
We do know that part.
Yeah.
And what never made what never made any sense, even when I interviewed the
Chief.
now retired Washington State WSU police chief, is I asked him point blank, when your officers had the car parked outside of the killer's apartment, why didn't you go in and contact them? Why didn't they go up and do a field interview, as it's called, right? Why didn't they get a buckle swab from him? We now know they buckle swabbed 5 other men, 5 other people that they were looking at. They had
buckle
him, they
swabbed
had
everybody.
the car, and all we got was a word salad. It didn't make sense. We pressed him on that. And to everyone's point here on panel is, really, you could have prevented him leaving the campus. To Chris's point, you could have had the car. You could have had much more evidence from the car. You would have never had to have him, as you guys said, a couple of weeks to clean that car, to drive across the country. There wouldn't have been if you buckle swabbed him the day you had him on WSU campus, you would have never had to do a trash pull in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, is part of this 2,300 pages of documents. And from a journalist looking in, 85% roughly of what they released of the 2,300 pages was like throwing a dog a bone. They were redacted pages. There was nothing of value on it. They're playing games, and they're being very crafty, because they're saying, well, we know we have, 200 FOIAs from 200 media outlets and social media people. So here's what we're going to give you. It's meaningless stuff. To your guys' point, open up the emails between University of Idaho president, Washington State University president, and the prosecutor. Or how about then Sergeant Gilbertson, Idaho State Police, he's now the lieutenant, who gave those word salad, ridiculous interviews to the national media, said nothing about the case of interest. And so, to your point, we are being, it's like, it's even worse, because a 2,300 page document dump sends you guys spinning as the victim's family. Yeah. And yet, what do we get from it?
We didn't get nothing, really.
Not that much. Really
So
not that much at the
people,
end of the day.
I don't even know the 5 people. I haven't read them. Were any of them employees?
I'm sure they were.
It's all redacted information.
All
It
redacted.
says a buckle swab from a male, and that's it. There's no other information that even
So
talks
I think it's a
about
conflict of interest when you don't want to basically investigate what you should be investigating. And I feel like some people weren't investigated on purpose. And I think that's part of what's going on right now with this dumping of all this stuff. And I mean, you got a guy who's just repeatedly harassing women over and over and over. And we just have to listen to these young people that are saying, hey, this guy over here, if you give him a degree, he's a psychopath waiting to manipulate power. Maybe we should question this.
Hold the reins on given this PhD.
Jerry?
Well, there's one other aspect of this that, for me, is like the elephant in the room. Is that if this were a situation where somebody commits a mass murder and then slips away into the night, and is given time to kind of clean up and so forth, that's one story. But I am convinced, as are a number of other experts, that this was quite likely, a serial killer in the making. In my own work and Raghi Gurgis's work at Columbia, 11.78% of mass murderers go on to be serial killers, like BTK, for example. And I believe that was likely based on the motives, because mass murderers who never kill again are not motivated in the way this guy was apparently motivated. And that means to me that he was probably in a cooling off period before killing again. When people like this clean up their tracks and then are slighted again or insecure or whatever, they sort of build up the need to do this again. And I think what you're picking up on, Steve, with the going around harassing women, because to this guy, women are like one big giant mass. And he sort of sees them as interchangeable. And that's the kind of person who would have been trolling around looking for the next person who emblematized his hatred of women and his desire to play this domination game out. And I think that this coincides with what we know was on his phone, for example, the stuff he was viewing, the images of women, that we don't know who they were, that he was looking at, collecting them, thinking of them in an objectified way, recording their names like based on descriptors, like, the one I jogged with or whatever, those kind of strange things where these things that weren't even human in his eyes. And I think that it's important to understand that this guy was probably out there gradually moving in the direction of doing this again. So that every minute that he was out there is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. I mean, Chris, doesn't that jive with our sense of this kind of offender that he was probably in a cooling off period?
Yeah, and that's why, a great point, Gary, and that's what Karen, Steve and Chris were all saying that,
Right.
well, wait a minute, you got this guy's car. Okay. You've got a car at 4:00 in the morning, taking off from the crime scene, the crime scene. Okay. And you see it on video making this, right turn at a high rate of speed. Okay. You can say, is he or isn't he involved? Right. That's going to be the question from an investigative analysis side. No problem. Find the car. Okay. Go get that car. What does it look like? And they were working on that, remember, extensively. They sent it to the feds. The feds came back and said, hey, we think it's, a Hyundai. They at first, put it in a year range, but then ultimately they said, well, we're not really positive, but we're going to expand that range. And they send it out to law enforcement. Okay. Well, you get 2 law enforcement officers who get that information. Hey, they're looking for a white car from, the slaughter over on 1122 King Street. Oh, by the way, we have a white car here, and it's a Hyundai, and it's, a different year. Let's go over and make sure it's the right kind. They do that. Okay. They run the plate, they get his name. Okay. And then they run him through the system, because I know all that information is going to be there. And Kristi and Steve, that CAD information is going to be there. You notice they haven't released any of that yet. Okay.
Nope.
And all of that information, then comes down to a later press conference where the chief says, well, we made a mistake. What do you mean you made a mistake? Well, they didn't ask us to contact him. Well, then they didn't ask you to go look for the car either then. And why did you find it? So you made 2 mistakes. You shouldn't have found it, if that's your logic, which in my experience, that makes no sense at all. And John Lamb and I did a show on this, a while back that says, now let me get this right. This car's possibly involved in a quadruple homicide, and you're putting it out as a BOL, a be on the lookout, and you're sending it NCIC across the United States of America for every law enforcement officer. Oh, wait, that's right, you didn't. Because that way, if a law enforcement officer stops him going cross country, there's nothing in the system that says, hey, this guy could kill you too, officer friendly. Okay. So it was like, fumble nuts. And here's an interesting point that, I'm going to go on here if it's okay.
You said fumble
Kristi.
nuts.
Yeah, guess who?
Fumble nuts. I'm going to start using that.
Guess who was making the decisions in those lab reports about using up all of the DNA?
Pick me.
That's correct. Thompson.
Explain that a little further to people so they understand what you mean by use up the DNA.
Okay, so they had the DNA source on various pieces of evidence, right? They had blood swabs, et cetera, buccal swabs. Okay, so the investigators ask for permission. Okay, the lab says, "Hey, we need permission to use this up. Okay. Now, typically,
I just want to say something. I do remember saying this last night, last night, I think it was to you guys, or the night before, might have been the first night, because I read we were reading and it said that to use up all the sample. And I was like, well, then how would this be able to be used in court? Because the defense has to have their own testing. They're allowed to have their own testing done. If the sample is completely used up, then there's nothing for them to test, and you can't bring that in as evidence. But maybe they were using up all of the sample because maybe it was for the knife sheath and, let's say, the DNA of Jack Decor, or, and so they used up all of Jack's DNA because they knew they can go back and get more DNA. But I don't see why they would do that. That's the only thing I can think of.
you don't ask permission to the DA's office in the middle of a criminal investigation when you don't have a suspect. Okay. The DA's office is there to make sure that if you need a search warrant, you have probable cause, that they're going to present it to a judge, and the judge is going to be the ultimate decider of that moment that says, yes, you get a search warrant, oh no. Okay. But in this case, okay, they go to Thompson, and it's in the report, Steve. Okay. And they say, hey, we want to test everything. And is it okay if we use all of the DNA that we've discovered? And Thompson says, yes, you have my permission. So what that meant was, if the defense later on wanted to come back and say, it's not my guy, which Ann Taylor did. Okay. She stood up there and said, hey, it's not my guy. Okay. I don't know if they used it all up or not, personally. Okay. We do know they got the killer, and there's no question about it. He's the guy. Okay. They got all of that, but we don't know if they used it up to get all of that at Thompson's behest. Okay. Now, here's the danger in that. If the judge had ruled any differently for you guys and your family, okay, and it was going to be Sod, which we call some other dude, did it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Guess what? They had no DNA to test because it had all been burned up. Okay. And that's the other nugget inside of these recent reports here, because there is a email chain between Thompson and Talbert, or I think his name is Talbert, or Tolbert. Am I right, Karen?
It's Talbert. He's one of the Idaho State Police investigators. Right. Jeff Talbot on the case.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Talbot he's at a quandary. The lab's calling and saying, hey, you guys want to rush on these buccal swabs, et cetera, would it be okay, just in case, because we have DNA here and they hadn't tested it yet, can we use it all? Can we use all the sample? Okay. And rather than the cop saying, like a case agent, okay, where we would get together in our experience and say, hey, Captain, Lieutenant, whatever my bosses, hey, here's where we are with this investigation. Okay. We wouldn't pick up the phone and call the DA and say, hey, we need your permission to run a lab, to get, to burn up some DNA at a lab. Okay. No, that's out of his lane. That's not his lane. Okay. And he tied himself into it because later on he was only worried about how that was going to look in court, not for the investigative process. And I think that reflects back on the car as well, where somebody made a decision, and we haven't seen the emails yet, but my sweetheart has been digging and she's been stonewalled, times 10. Okay. Somebody made a decision that told those two patrol officers, stand down. Do not go and talk to the driver of that car. Yep. I don't know why that ever came up. Go ahead, Karen.
So along those lines, I want to maybe pull back just a little bit, but kind of stay in the same vein. I want to get Kristi and Steve your opinion on this. From the outside, this is a very concerning point, the larger point with the whole idea of doing the plea deal instead of the trial. I think what we're now seeing in some of these documents, Kristi, that you had mentioned that came out like right after the plea deal, is the extent of the injuries to all the victims, your daughter included. It feels like the investigators and Thompson lessened the extent of the injuries because we were all shocked more recently about them. And I don't want to get into it because it's got to be very difficult for you guys. But the fact that the prosecutor did that. And I feel like that had we known, we meaning you guys, it doesn't matter what we think, you're the victim's family. If you had known what you know now, collectively the information, now you guys made your voices heard and he did the plea deal anyway, but I can't help but thinking, does it feel like everything was lessened? And if so, what reason do you think they lessened it in order to do the plea deal route?
I 100% think that it was lessened from the beginning. I mean, because we had several chances. Well, you know, there were several points in the investigation that we had talked with the coroner, Kathy Mabbitt, once, and then basically Bill Thompson and his team, the prosecution never really gave us anything because of the gag order. So then our next point was when the gag order was dropped, we were able to talk to the investigators the day before.
But he asked us to make a plea without even telling us what happened.
Yeah, the plea. So
this guy's a piece of.
We started asking them, like, we still don't know how many times Kaylee has been stabbed. You know, like we're writing victim impact statements. Can you tell us? And he said no, because the plea deal still stands, and that was within like days of it getting. But there was a date for it to get dropped. And if it gets dropped on this date, we could maybe arrange for you guys to talk to investigators really fast. So
they're supposed to make a victim's impact statement based on not knowing all of the evidence and not knowing all of the story of what happened to their child.
So that did get dropped, and we did talk to investigators really fast.
So think about that. They're asking us to make a plea deal, to accept it, and they still haven't told us what's happened to our child. It's absolutely unacceptable. He's a disgusting prosecutor. We had no idea what had happened to our own child, let alone, and I argue, I need to know the totality of everything he did. I need to know what he did to Ethan. I need to know what Xana went through. I don't want to hear it, right. But I have to honor their sacrifice to make a plea deal, to make a deal. For him to rob us all of that just shows what a worth. This is why the FBI fled that town. We had 61 FBI officers. They took off and left. This guy had done things that they couldn't support. They couldn't stand, and they got out of there. And I wish I could have got my child out of this case. I wish I could have ripped Kaylee out of this case and said, we're taking her out of here. This dude isn't the right guy, but I didn't have that.
I think that honestly is what I think. I think it was to protect, and to dumb it all down was to protect the university. I mean, that's personally what I think. Like, the whole University of Idaho murders, that was shedding bad light. That was shedding, and they're all U of I alum over there in Moscow. Other than that, I don't know why they would not have wanted the truth come out. And as hard as it is for us to speak about the truth, we have came out and we have spoke about the truth of what we know happened to Kaylee. I think that reading those papers saying that Kaylee was unrecognizable,
lost teeth, all that stuff has to play a part in the plea deal. And if you don't do it, you should be fired. You have a job as a prosecutor to take the totality of the actions of a killer and play them into your decision making. And when you literally say it doesn't matter, then you should be fired. And
Yeah.
Thompson should be fired.
I don't know how he could have looked at those pictures of the kids the way they were and not said from the very beginning, I am going all the way with this.
There was a case.
I don't care.
They're sleeping in their beds.
I don't care.
He's a weak ass
There's
old man.
nothing that is going to prevent me. I am not playing games with this guy. I'm not making plea deals with him. No, 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 no. So what was it? Was he tired? Was he lazy?
Was he already retired?
was-
Does he have Alzheimer's,
What-
which we've heard?
Was he protecting, the
I'm
universe?
sorry to be laughing, but I think Chris didn't know what he was doing tonight when he decided to tell poor Steve and Kristi everything that was in the documents. I don't know if he had talked to him before this interview and was like, I'm going to tell you what's in the documents or what. But I mean, Steve's allowed to be upset, especially when he's hearing this is new stuff to them too. They haven't read these documents yet. And Chris is kind of telling him like what's in the documents, figuring out clippings and all the things, and
University of Idaho and trying to take the light off
Let's go
that
back
because
with him.
obviously University of Idaho runs that town.
what are these two even smiling about?
Its well-being is very important for that town to run. I don't know. I don't know, but how can my daughter be unrecognizable to 3 different officers that walked in and said the lady on the left was unrecognizable? I think that reading that
Stop pleading with this.
On that,
This is a terrorist. This is
I,
a psychopath.
changed me. All this has changed me in different ways. That day, I'll never forget the moment where we were at. We were in the car when I read that. And I think that I kind of went back into some shock on that day. And I don't know if I'm still completely out of it. It is crazy the way that shock and grief work. I think it's God's way of protecting us from just this information. But knowing what Kaylee went through, and then after that report, we actually got her actual autopsy report.
I'd say the only time Thompson
I
would
don't see how somebody could plead.
the only way Thompson supports a death penalty is if it's his son was killed. That's the kind of man he is.
Maybe,
That's the only one.
we don't know.
The guy he plays in the band with, he plays in the
I
band
don't
with his
know.
son.
Maybe
If his son died, then he'd support it. But that's the kind of justice system we have here in
I guess you
Lake
could
Tahoe
be a
County.
prosecutor in the state of Idaho and not believe in capital punishment. You would think that'd be
It's the only county that we have that's weak like this.
Lake Tahoe
Eric?
County.
Gary, what are your thoughts listening? And by the way, thank you for that. That's raw emotion because that is what you're feeling and where you are in your life right now. And this is one of the things that I'm so grateful that we're having this program tonight because this is the other side. Now, we're on the other side. This is what happens when the system doesn't take into account the totality of victims and their families. You guys, you have a voice for your sweet daughter. And I know you're speaking for all of them, but all of us handle it so differently. But those, again, we go back to this minutia moment, like you just shared, Kristi. A new document dump, you're reading it, and boom, it takes you right back to the very moment. That's
Chris,
what we're talking about, Gary, right?
well, let me just make a quick point before
Please.
Gary. Part of what we were told in the public for the plea deal was, well, we want to spare the families, the long appeals process. We want to spare them all this stuff. Well, everything they said they wanted to spare is happening for a lack of trial, because now
But
we
they
have the
gave
drip,
out-
drip, drip. Go
That's a
ahead, Steve.
good point.
They gave out our dead kids. They gave out the bloody scenes of our children right off the bat. They threw that out first. Before any courtroom, any things that they did,
That's true.
we're still getting that out. But the first thing they gave was the blood and guts. That's what they gave. They threw that out. said, and all the families agreed, we don't need to have the
So that was
children.
a fight. That was about.
If you type in, and I don't know if it's just my search engine, but when I typed in Idaho 4 the other day into Google, the first thing that popped up was a picture of Ethan.
Battle.
All the families
Logan
agreed.
family
We don't
and
need to
Chapin
see
family
this.
fought.
All that
This stuff doesn't.
all that coverage that everyone has done. And the top search was the dead body of Ethan. I felt so bad for his family. Just, I hope they don't Google anything like that.
Need to come out, and they said, guess what we're going to lead with? We're going to lead with what the families all agree shouldn't be out. And then we'll start leaking all this stuff out afterwards. Hopefully, if we give them that, then, the people stop paying attention to this. If we just give them the blood and guts, maybe they all go away. And maybe that worked. I don't know.
No,
But,
It didn't.
well, I don't know what the viewership is anymore. I don't really care.
I don't know.
All I know is we all agreed, let's not let out the freaking crime scene with all the blood and guts. And they're like, oh yeah, we agree, Steve. We all agree. You guys all are on the same page. And then that's what they led with.
I think the descriptions were enough. They didn't need to put out any photos. I mean, at least,
Yeah.
I mean, unrecognizable is unrecognizable.
We had to sue. We literally had to sue to
Well,
make them do the right
The
thing.
Mogan family and the Chapin family did, but they covered both rooms. So we were like, it's covered. This is a battle. We don't have to, chomp, which
No,
was,
we were all on the same page.
we were all on the same page. Yes.
And we're frustrated. We're definitely frustrated. And every time we see these things that get released and fingernails and all this stuff, and they don't even tell us what's going on, just goes to show that their loyalty is to what we've already seen. A book where they bragged about being part of the investigation. U of I literally said, we're part of the investigation. We handle crisis management. We were there. We knew all about this. We helped them deal with it. We decided to destroy the crime scene. I mean, I think it's pretty clear to the outside community what's really going on. And they've done a terrible job of handling it. And hopefully when it's all said and done, we can live with it and make sure that we make a system that protects the community. Stuff like this doesn't happen anymore. Because Idaho's a great, beautiful state, and we don't have a lot of crime. And the reason why they didn't know what to do is because we hadn't had a murder in 7 years.
Right.
So we want that. That's the good thing about it. But when mistakes are slapping you in the face, you literally look at it and you either decide to do something about it or ignore it, and then just keep doing it over and over. And I'm not going to let them ignore it. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hold them accountable and say, you're going to learn from these 4 victims, and we're going to make the system better. And I'm going to force you. I'm going to force you to do the right thing.
Yeah, and I think it's important. It is important for the public. I mean, we are so sorry that your family has to go through this, and it's ongoing. It's like it doesn't get to end. It's important for the public to see the actions, in this case, by the prosecutor, and we'll put the investigators, but mostly the prosecutor in there. It's important for people to see what that decision has done. Chris, your thoughts?
Gary?
Well, first of all, one of the reasons I'm so horrified about the idea of the images becoming available to anybody is the idea that the images can become available to the killer. And for somebody with these kinds of what I think are his motivations, that is the worst possible thing that you could do. Chris, wouldn't you agree? I mean, that's the idea.
Yes, but I need to tell you right now, he's already got them.
Well, that disturbs me immensely, because if you're a fantasy-oriented person,
right,
the idea of that is horrifying. There was an offender years ago who was described in the first book that was done by my mentor, which I did the second book building on it, and he received a kind of I don't know what to call it, a fan letter from one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. And the fan letter contained a computer printed image from the crime autographed. The idea of these things disgusts me to no end. So I just want to put it out there that I'm sure that was also going through your mind, the indignity of that. So that's the kind of thing that bothers me is that you have to leave the legal realm and think about the effects on human beings. And the whole thing just sort of colludes with the dehumanization and the objectification that was played out by this person. The other thing is, I remember, and I wish I had the footage of it, I remember seeing somebody involved in the case talking on the news and saying that the decision to go with the plea deal had a lot to do with money. And the explanation was that if you already knew what the outcome was going to be, why put the taxpayers through the whole process of the trial? And the families were split anyway on whether they wanted a death penalty, so they went in the direction that they went. Now, Chris, you remember that, right? We talked about that. They had gone on the news and said that.
Yeah, that was a news, and I think it was somebody from the AG's office.
Well, yeah, because it was literally, I was a show right after I appeared talking about the case, and then there he was, and and I remember thinking to myself, my God, the message that sends. And
well, not only that, look at these in the 2300 dump here, Gary.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, it says this is not an invoice, and they give $500 amounts for like 4 DNA testing from the lab.
I think we saw that.
That's the kind of crap.
It's ridiculous.
That
also
no family on this earth whose daughter or son has been slaughtered while sleeping in a bed should read in a lab report that, oh, by the way, it was $500 to get this DNA, to get, the murderer of this case, but it's not an invoice. Okay. No politician in the United States should be involved in any criminal investigation. The governor does not have an opinion in the death of 4 college students. You leave that up to the investigators, the FBI, all the people that get the experience, the training, the schooling, and those are the folks that are on the ground in the trenches. You do not send $1 million from the governor's office in Idaho to the Idaho State Police because it's a university of the state, University of Idaho, okay? And then say, well, how much did you spend? Well, and Karen, how much did they spend?
Well, it's even worse. It was the governor of Idaho pledged it to the University of Idaho. Okay. So there is a distinction, and they told us this week, out of that $1 million pledged, they got billed for like $435,000. Okay. So but
now,
why,
go ahead.
it just doesn't make any sense. The University of Idaho should have been nowhere near the investigation. It was Moscow PD.
Yeah, they handed $1 million to the University of Idaho. The governor's office did.
The property wasn't even on campus. So why the hell are they getting $1 million? Where's
Karen,
our million?
That's what I love about this girl. She is just a bulldog. Karen reaches out and says, "Hey, you guys, it's public funds. You guys got $1 million. What did you do with that money, and how much have you spent?" Well, U of I right now has reported they've only spent $435,000.
So where's the next?
Well, where's the?
Go take the rest of that, or a little bit of it, and go put a monument or memorial over at King Road. There's a good spot for it, not at the college. Just saying.
Rest.
Well, and even still, what'd they spend it on? Where'd that money go?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. It's snowball fights with ISP
ridiculous.
And the students.
It doesn't make any sense that, that it would, it just seems like the university it just stinks what we're
I
seeing.
know.
Go ahead, Steve.
I know Idaho's politicians. I mean, we got Brad a little. We have some really amazing politicians, and money's not the issue.
Right.
If you come and you kill our highly educated people,
Well,
we will spend as much money as it takes
Obviously
to
not.
find you. Yes,
don't
no,
agree
no,
with that.
no.
No.
I believe our politicians 100% believe in that.
I don't.
And that's okay. But when you get to a university, when you get down to the microeconomics of a community, they dictate where that money actually goes and what's going on and how that investigation's going. But the upper management and the governing of Idaho, we don't care how much it costs to prevent somebody coming from the East Coast to kill our kids. We will spend all that money and find those people. I guarantee you that's how our government sees
Why
it.
why did they give the money to the university? Why didn't they give it to ISP?
Because that's who said they needed it. And you have to trust the local
What were
people.
they saying they needed it for? I mean, I think I've seen the
COVID.
accounting. No, but this didn't have anything to do with COVID.
It was during the exact same time of COVID. And it was
No,
during
COVID was
Thanksgiving.
2020. This was 2022. COVID had nothing to do with it. And is what I remember they put up on there. There was very little for counseling that they put out.
I was going to say that maybe they were trying to get reimbursed for maybe some of the students that wasn't going to be coming back.
There was some
It was supposed to be room and board for police officers.
room and board for
Right,
police
for
officers,
state
which I
police.
thought,
That didn't make any sense either. You own the
no, I didn't
school.
understand that.
They own the
Yeah.
dorms. I mean, that was weird.
Yeah, I was like,
When the FBI showed up, there was a lot of amazing work and a
Yeah,
lot
absolutely.
of hard,
I'm not saying that there
dedicated
wasn't.
people. I mean,
Okay,
I want to keep it in the right perspective there.
oh, I don't agree with. I don't know why the money went to University of Idaho.
I
That's-
think you're both right. I think you're both right. But what was happening from, let's say 2 lanes here, right? You've got the criminal investigative lane and you've got the political lane here, right? And it's a state university. The whole town, the economy, all of that has to be taken into consideration, right? But, from a grassroots level, I guess where I'm coming from is the investigators should have ignored all of that noise.
Yeah,
Okay.
You have to.
1,000%. And what they should have done was focused on, okay, what do we have? And we can check them off, right? The car, the sheath, the other stuff. Wait, and that's what they should have been doing. But what they were doing, to your point, Steve, is they were checking in with the university. They were checking in with the district attorney's office. Hey, we're about ready to do this. Do we have your permission? Okay. That's
Can
where,
we destroy the crime scene?
well, that's the point. They moved.
Can we destroy it? You're asking the university because you've made this weird orchestration, so they end up getting it gifted to them.
Exactly.
And they hired, the universities hired who killed our kids. And they're telling us, oh, it's crime of passion.
Everybody's safe.
It's an isolated thing. This house, this party house. These kids did everything to get themselves killed. No, you hired a psychopath killer. You didn't properly vet him. Then he killed people in your community and you made it look like it was a party house. And that's why they got killed.
You are 1,000,000% correct. And that is the lane to your point, that was the tunnel vision that I'm talking about. Okay. They went down that lane and, they weren't teachable. They're still not teachable to this day. You are experiencing it in real time post conviction of this guy, i.e., he said, I did it. Okay. But now, every time more documents start coming, okay, it's taking you back, to day one, because that day will never go away. And that's what people don't understand. And that's why I'm really grateful that you guys are here and that this is a safe place to express how you feel to the public, because you have every right in the world to do that. And, we all come at this from our own, experiences and levels of life. And we're applying it into what we've seen. Okay. And what we saw here were two trains. We have the political train, and the universities are attached to that train as well. The politicians are attached to that train. But then you have the investigative trains. You have the FBI. You have Moscow. You have ISP. You have the lab people. You have Ortham in Texas. You have all of these other trains going. This train going down this track. Okay. The problem is at some point, and it was early on in the investigation, I will, from my perspective looking at it, they got on the same track. And when that happened, you guys were pushed out of the train station. Okay? Because you were saying, hey, wait a minute. I'm waiting for the 8:15, and you guys are saying the 12:15 is coming. Well, what happened to the other 4 hours? Okay. And that's why when you started asking your own questions, what should have happened is the investigative team should have got together and say, Kristi, Steve, yeah, let's sit down. Let me tell you where we're at and why we're here. I can't give you all the details. You understand that. And you would have done just what you did. Shook your head. Okay. Okay. However, here's what we have. And I would tell you, and we would tell you, this happens every single day in the United States. Okay. And I'm not saying that the investigators didn't want to do that or haven't done that. I'm saying somebody stopped them early, and it wasn't the investigative team. It was somebody behind the curtain, the wizard, moving all of the levers. And I'm going to put a lot on the U of I president, because simultaneously he's writing a book, okay, while there's a gag order, okay, and he's talking, and I read that. Go ahead.
They're not part of the gag order, but they try to throw the family. It's like, we can't talk about our kids, but the
That's
university can talk about it.
Right, exactly. And that's
they're part of the investigation.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, solid. And I mean, how does it make you feel today? Well, we know how it makes you feel today, but we can't imagine what it felt like when you were seeing it play out in real time. And this, dirtbag hasn't even pled yet. Okay. And they have all of this information tucked back there, and we're going to go get this guy, rah. Okay. Oh, by the way, it's over. Okay. Thanks, guys. See you later. And we're going on a movie tour or whatever the deal's going to be. Right. Meanwhile, the horror is you're experiencing it. And Gary, am I off?
They still hadn't explained everything that happened to our kids, and they went and did a media tour and treated the freaking cameras better than they treated the victims' families. That's what they did. And they just actually met somebody who wasn't going to put up with it. They met a family that was going to put their freaking stake in the ground and say, if you're going to be this disrespectful to us, if you're going to be this disgusting and gross to our family, then I'm going to have to call you out. I'm going to have to sit here and do hour-long interviews over and over and over. And I'm going, luckily for him, he's 70-some years old. His career's over. It's probably why he was given the case and not somebody with a younger, that would have been like, didn't want to ruin their career. Thompson obviously didn't care. He's at the point where he's going to retire. He's willing to take it for the team, and the team is going to be those universities there. But everybody sees through this. Everybody looks at these facts and looks at, like,
Well, hopefully.
Charlie Kirk has got more transparency in his case in like the first 24 hours than we had in 2 years. I mean, we've seen him running on the roof. We've seen him with a gun in his back pocket, down his thing, and he's limping. We see all that stuff. We see his text messages. We see all that stuff. But this case somehow needs to be treated
Top secret.
way more secretive. It's like, come on.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right up front, in my experience, put your seatbelts on. Because there's more coming, and it's going to be very emotional. That is going to, and Gary, I want you to address that piece of the puzzle, because he's not done, right or wrong.
No, the offender. No. This will be a game for a long time.
And it's going to be in his mind, and Steve and Kristi in his mind. Okay, talk talk to Gary because we get these guys. Okay. And he is just beginning. He's just beginning. And I know that's hard to hear, but I would do you a disservice to lie to you. Okay.
I appreciate that. I wish Thompson would have done the same.
Gary, where do you think he's going now that the movie piece of garbage is in the pipeline?
Okay. Well, first of all, part of the reason that the plea deal disturbed me as somebody who has a lot of experience working with victims of crime and their families is I know that there's a kind of a PTSD process where people need to be gradually exposed and work through grief, partly through the trial, being exposed to things, hearing things, coming to grips with it, getting some modicum of a sense of justice, being able to voice how they feel, being in the room, feeling that their child is with them the whole time. And instead, as you were moving in the direction of preparing for that, it was sort of ripped out from underneath you that your mourning process had to go a whole different way. And it just turned into all kinds of grief and anger all over again. So that there was this kind of lack of insight about the sensitivity that you have to the human beings that are affected by the loss of someone they love. So that already is a problem. I mean, it's sort of the equivalent of getting the phone call and being told, like, this person is in your life and now they're not anymore. Done. And it's like, move on, and instead of having a slow process, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to then add the kind of a dignity to it, that there's this lingering spotlight on a person who wanted a lingering spotlight. I mean, even the notion, for example, the part that I can't stand the most about this movie that I don't want to give oxygen to, is that they actually went out and got like a heartthrob actor to play him instead of depicting him as a kind of a loser. So that it's a Hollywoodization of this story that plays into the public's romantic ideas about these things. And so this combination of events is so out of touch with the reality of a mourning process and trauma that it breaks my heart for you. Now, I have to tell you that it's almost like I almost am sad that the spotlight is moving away from this story, because in the void of that, I don't know where all of your anger and sadness and feelings are going to go. There's nothing to channel them into. So that I'm glad you have this opportunity to express how upset you are and the unfairness of it, because, it's like there's an old saying that says, grief is love that has nowhere else to go. It bottles up and you don't know what to do with it, and it swims and suffocates you and all of that. I wanted to take an opportunity to ask the two of you, what is emotionally happening to you? How are you feeling? I mean, the anniversary of the murders is coming up. The holidays are coming up, and the experience of the empty chair at Thanksgiving and Christmas time and all of that. I know that feeling. Chris and Karen know that feeling all too well. How are you doing? I haven't seen anybody ask you. How
It's just hard. I mean, actually, even stepping into November for me,
She hates the word November.
I literally hate the word November. So everything is kind of, snowballing right now. And well, it has been, I mean, it is every day. But November is going to be especially hard. And I just, it's hard to go out in public. It's hard not just to stay in my bedroom and not deal with anything or anyone besides my loved ones. I just want to hide from it all. Everything is terrifying. Everything is scary. Everything hurts. Everything reminds me of Kaylee. But it's just this constant reminder that she is not here, and everything seems like to be a triggering point, a dog barking, white cars, and you just go out and you just want to put like blinders on. I mean, the word November, the 13th.
Fingernails, trying to tell us there's fingernail clippings of our child. The things that they did to our child without even telling us, like
it's just hard.
You think your kid, your kid gets murdered, and you think that you'd know that they were traveled to another state without you even knowing. Like, why is our kid in another state right now? We didn't even know. It's wild to know that. All these things are so hard to keep track of, but we have a couple sticks in the fire. We're not your average victims. We're not your average family that we've already changed laws, and we'll keep changing them. And we're gonna fight this. We're gonna punch this guy right in his face when it's all said and done.
Not in person,
obviously. But this guy is motivated the wrong family, and when this is all said and done, the next family will have less things to worry about in Idaho because of what this piece of trash has done to our kids. And we're laying some foundations that we can build on, and everybody in our community can use and understand that it's a better system. Even though we don't have to deal with murder every year or every 2 years or every 5 years, when it does happen, we'll put some things in place to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks, that have 13 investigations of people complaining on them saying that they're a psychopath, and people refuse to do something about it because they're scared and they're weak and they're pathetic like Thompson, and they get well paid and they don't have any accountability like us in the normal world. If we don't do our jobs, we get fired, but a prosecutor never gets fired. So we got some work to do, but this is the family to make sure that work gets done.
Well, as I sit here and listen to you, and we've spoken before, and it's always, I marvel that even in the depths of despair, the two of you still think about the effects on other people instead of only of you. And that is extraordinary, and to me speaks to the kind of values that your daughter had and that these victims had, the kind of people that they come from. I just think that says so much about your hearts and the kind of person that she was. I wonder, having spoken to many people who are experiencing grief, particularly this kind of grief, in what ways do you feel your daughter lets you know she's okay? Do you ever sense that she's with you in some way? What gives you signs that she's safe and with God, or what you believe about where she is?
So I think that just my belief and my faith in God is what I know that Kaylee is okay. Now I have dreams about Kaylee, and we'll see ladybugs or something. We'll say, oh, it's Kaylee. But in my belief, I don't believe that Kaylee can actually interact with us. It's a lovely theory to think, or that she's an angel looking over us, but I don't believe that is the case. Kaylee is in heaven. She knows nothing about what is going on here on earth. If she knew what was going on here at earth, she would hurt. Her heart would hurt. Her heart would hurt to see us in pain. Her heart would hurt to know that we are missing her.
Treated this case.
What happened to them? She doesn't know any of that. She's just in perfect bliss in heaven. And so I don't necessarily believe that we get signs. I think that we just have our memories, and I know with my faith in God.
Yeah.
Knowing that we got someone. There's a lot of families out there who've gone through something like this and they don't have a person, and that would have destroyed our family. And I think that lets me know that Kaylee was rewarded, to be here on earth, to go through all this drama. You turn on the TV, it only takes you 10, 15 minutes to see how much chaos is going on. To be able to go to the next level is a reward. And I truly believe that she had learned enough on this planet that she was able to go on. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. Obviously, I've got anger issues, so I'm still here learning. She figured it out a little bit earlier. So did Maddie. These other victims, they were able to go on to that next level. And college was a great learning experience, but they were able to learn from life a lot faster than I was, or our family was. And
I don't. Go ahead, Chris, please.
No, I don't want to correct Steve, but I don't think he has anger issues. I think he is.
He's a
great dad.
Yeah, I don't think Thompson would.
My dad would have been the same way. It wouldn't have mattered if they had a trial. They didn't have a trial. My dad wouldn't have been happy no matter what, because his little girl would have been gone.
I agree with you.
And Steve's attitude, he reminds me a lot of my dad.
Well, that's his problem, right? That's his problem. And I'm gonna step away just for a minute. I got to go get a book. I have a poem that has helped me. My wife will tell you that has helped when I had those days where, anyway, it's going to take me literally 30 seconds to go get it, but I didn't want to be rude. But I don't think you have anger issues, in my opinion. And I think you're a great father. You're a great husband. You have protected your family. This monster took something that had you been there, none of this would have occurred. We all know that. Everybody knows. Mm-hmm. Had your daughter been there, had Olivia been there, none of this would have occurred. And so all of this 1,000,000,000% lays completely upon the killer. It is his malfunction. And now he's sitting in a place where he's dealing with all of the malfunctioning people around him. And quite frankly, it's just begun for him. So let me go get that book, because I think the poem has helped me. And I just feel impressed that it may help you. So please forgive me.
And while you do that, no, Steve, you don't seem like you have anger issues. You are a very passionate compassionate, protective father. You love fiercely. It's obvious. You and Kristi have raised incredible kids, and I'm reading comments in chat for the last 2 hours, and there is, for whatever it's worth, so much love and support for you and your family, for both of you, your whole family. And, I think at least there's that, I know that you guys receive that, you hear about it through social media and whatnot. And I know you've got, seems like a wonderful support system around you as well. There's just so many people who are in your camp and have been in awe of your strength, have been infuriated along the way as people in the public watching what your family has had to go through. And there's just a lot of people who care that you'll never meet in person. And I know that won't help and doesn't necessarily help with the unbearable grief that you both deal with, but at least I think it's gratifying to see that. It's gratifying to see that piece of that. It's a small piece. It's a very small piece, but you guys have to have times that you just feel like you're so alone and fighting the system and all that. But I think there's more people out there who have your back, send their love and support to you than even what you'll know.
Absolutely.
And we do, we feel that, we feel the love, and it means everything to us.
So I opened right up to it. It's crazy. I literally just opened the book and the poem is right there. Okay. So the universe is on schedule, the way I look at that one. Okay. So get this, listen to this. In a beautiful blue lagoon on a clear day, a fine sailing ship spreads its brilliant white canvas in a fresh morning breeze and sails out to the open sea. We watch her glide away magnificently through the deep blue and gradually see her grow smaller and smaller as she nears the horizon. Finally, when the sea and the sky meet, she slips silently from our sight, and someone near me says, "There she goes." Gone where? Gone from sight. That is all. She is still as large in mass and hull and sail, still just as able to hear and to load. And we can be sure that just as we say, "There she's gone," another says, "Here she comes." I have read that poem a million times.
I've been telling her we got to buy a sail ship, so you just told her.
A sailboat.
Sailboat, yeah. So we're gonna have to get one now.
Okay. So, right. I mean, it's just the visual of that, of seeing that go over the horizon. And this is what unfortunately
We felt.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other side, there's another beach and somebody's standing there saying, "Here she comes."
Yeah, we want him just to be as big and as beautiful. It was a very big personality. Even people that she was honored to would be like, she was a freaking big personality. And
she had a big personality. She was beautiful. She was funny. She was everybody's friend. Yeah, she was contagious.
And the beautiful thing about Maddie was an opposite of that. She was the quiet, super loyal, and wanted to just be around family and be around everything. So the two together, somebody in the room gravitated to one or the other so they could own the whole room. And they were best friends that were never going to question that space and they had gone through since middle school all the way through to college.
That's the best though, yin and yang.
That's why, Maddie got Kaylee to leave her sorority and all her stuff to come hang out with her and be in her group. So even though she was quiet, she had that draw, that power, that influence on Kaylee, who was big and a little bit louder, but she still knew what she had found in that group of friends was really real. And she ended up going over there and being a part of that group. And just kind of goes to show about, two people that really bounce each other out, two good friendships.
That poem, that beautiful poem that Chris wrote, which is by Henry Van Dyke. Van Dyke. Oh, yeah. Van Dyke was very famous in his day, a very good friend of Helen Keller's. And there's a quote that I love from a letter that Helen Keller wrote about a conversation she had with him about his view of life. I pulled it up because I couldn't remember it, but it goes like this. It says, so she's talking, you have to imagine Helen Keller with all of her troubles talking to Van Dyke, and she quotes him that he said, "I'm not an optimist. There's too much evil in the world and in me. Nor am I a pessimist. There's too much good in this world and in God. So I'm just a meliorist, believing that he wills to make the world better, and trying to do my bit to help and wishing that it were more. Well, I love that attitude, because what he's really saying is that ultimately you can't pretend the world isn't filled with a lot of darkness. But you'd also be lying if you said that it doesn't have a thread of goodness that runs through it too. It's all of those things. It's like when you love a person, you got to see them warts and all, right? The world has its horrors and it has its beauties. And I guess what he's saying is that ultimately, in a constant battle to overcome the dark part, God is going to take all of the terrible stuff and try in some little way to use it to bring a little bit more of the good stuff. And it's evident whenever you guys talk that, that you're emblematic of that kind of cosmic process. You stand for it. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, I always think that Chris and Karen do that. They channel the pain that they've been through into helping a lot of people. And I think that in doing this, in keeping her memory alive and fighting this, and it's like, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, right? So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And ultimately, I can't help but think that one day something is going to come out of this of an enormous charitable nature that will wind up helping people and saving people in the future. And that'll be your daughter's hands, kind of doing it through you. And I mean, Chris, Karen, you know what I mean, right? About how you make meaning out of it, and it somehow makes you feel that the good Lord, is kind of trying to make use.
I love their family. They have that spirit about all of them, and this idea, I was raised by two Marines. Both of my parents were in the Marine Corps. Okay, so well, and you remind me, my mother used to say, Christopher, and whenever she called me by my first full name, I knew it was going down, man, and it wasn't going to be good. But she would say, Christopher, whenever the dragon blows fire, you take out your sword and you cut its head off. You understand that?
Wow.
That was
both
of my parents are buried in Arlington, by the way, both my mother and father. And so I love that spirit about you, but at the same time, she was always the other side of her was, serve first, okay, and then lead later. Because if you're serving, you are leading, and it'll all fall into place. So I'm going to, as tradition here for Karen and I, is you get the last word. But before Karen and I step out here, and Dr. B, and I want to thank you, hopefully on behalf of all the people in this chat, for your courage, for your willingness to share your story in such a way that it empowers other victims' families going forward.
Yes.
And that you will continue to take that power, that dominance and control away from him and maintain it yourself into however you plug that in to your life circumstances with your children. Today, I know you got a tremendous amount of amazing events ahead of you with graduations, with potentially, relationships and all the other stuff that comes along with life. And that cute puppy who has been an amazing sound effect through this entire
3D.
Oh, we love it. Absolutely love it. So that's my 2 cents, Karen. Honey, anything from you?
I couldn't have said it better myself. No, I echo Chris's sentiments. We love and support your family. I think we echo what many, many, many people out there are feeling. We're grateful. I mean, your strength and your courage and your passion is, contagious. Of course, you're helping somebody else out there, other people. Again, unseen hands. And thank you for coming on and being willing to share your thoughts, your feelings. We know this is so difficult and painful, but yet at the same time, we hope that it helps you continue to have your voice out there, continue to be a strength for your family and other people. And we look forward to having you back on in the future as well.
Yeah. We will never get tired of listening to you talk about Kaylee, ever. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gary, any last thoughts? And then the three of us are going to step out and leave it to Steve and Kristi for the final word, and then we go to Hawaii.
Well, I guess all I'll say is, first of all, thank you for this very much. I guess all I'll say is that in the effort to take away power from your daughter and the other victims, what instead happened was that your daughter and the other victims became more powerful than ever, more powerful than you could ever have imagined. And the reason that he underestimated it is because he doesn't understand the nature of love and people that love you. It cannot die. It's not possible. And instead, if you try to snuff it out, it just grows and burns more. And that is not something that this person will ever understand. So as she inherits heaven, he remains in a kind of hell. And the hell is not understanding love. Nothing ever, even if he wasn't in that cell, he's in hell. And that's what you have to understand. Hell and heaven begin on this earth well before it's cemented there. And I just want to say, you're beautiful people. I really appreciate this. And I think in saying the things you're saying, you're inspiring a lot of people out there too. So thanks. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to pull out. You guys can take us to Hawaii and just say, let's go to Hawaii. And then we'll be off here. Okay, so stand by.
Okay.
Get the
Why does
ugly
he
one
say
off
that?
last. Yeah.
We just want to thank everybody, Chris and Karen and Dr. Bricado. They've always been amazing to us. Just so thoughtful and understanding and compassionate. It's a good to have a voice that we could be heard and understood. We love you all that pray for us, and we feel your love, we feel your prayers, and we love you all more than ever. So bye from baby, bye from me, and let's go to Hawaii.
That's what he always says. Oh, I don't wonder why he says that. Like, because it's more it's paradise. Oh, I didn't know that. I've never watched I don't think a full episode of his. Not a full episode, I don't think, unless it was an interview he did or something. I mean, I've never. Yeah, I don't really watch him too much. But I knew that he had this really good interview because I saw it just popped up on my For You page last night, and I wanted to watch it with you guys. It was a pretty long interview. I knew it was going to be kind of long. But yeah. Oh. Maybe because Hawaii is just it's like a tropical place. It's better than most, you think? Like when you think of, I would think I would rather go to Hawaii than say, let's go to Ohio, like where I'm from, right? Oh, what's the name of the song? Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. The only song that I'm thinking of right now is that one. I can't even think of it. I can hear it in my head almost. Never mind. I'll have to think of it. It'll come to me in the middle of the night watch. I'll wake up like, that's the song I was trying to think of. But that was a pretty good interview. It seems like Dr. Brucata, did he lose a child too? Or maybe he lost someone close because he said like he made it seem like that. But then Chris and his wife have lost a child. That's very sad. It's very sad. Better than Denmark right now. Better than Ohio right now. Now we got to think of our own. Why don't I don't have like an ending thing I say. Well, I mean, I say much love in the chat, but I thought about saying see you tomorrow because like I would always see you tomorrow, but now I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, I'll see you, but I don't know if it'll be like every day. But I do need something to say. I'm going to think of something. He was 20. Oh, that's so sad. See, I didn't think that he was married or anything. So maybe it was like his mother or his father he lost or something. That's really cool that he lets the guest have the last thought. Like, I don't know, though. That might make a guest nervous, right? Wouldn't it? Like, I don't know. I would feel like I'd have to ask him. But I do like that he does that. That's cool. That's his thing, He was 20. Wow, that is so young. Hey, I might trade you, Christina. Denmark sounds lovely, actually. I might not be, I must not be very culturally sound or something, but I was looking at little villages in Scotland. I think it was yesterday. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. I'm going to go hunt down on Isabel. Ooh, wouldn't that be a good trip? And I could take my camera with me. And we'd go find her. Don't make me do a travel blog on my second channel. That would be so much fun. I think it's awesome too. Yeah. But I just think that like some people might get nervous, like being on camera at the end all by themselves on like a stage with 1,000 people in the chat or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It is cheap. Well, look at that. Kira's in Scotland too. Oh yes. I forgot. Look at that. I could make like a a world tour, an international tour. Yeah, Scotland. And then earlier, I was trying to go to the live tab because I was going to send you guys somewhere after this live if there's anybody live. And the only thing, the thing that caught my attention was this. It's the Masters Agility Championship, and they're about to show this little dog right here.
That's part of what we said.
Now you tell me if you would think that this little dog would be in the agility competition, but he is. I was thinking like my dog Mia, Weimaraner. But look at this little dog. This is going to make you guys laugh. This is going to make you laugh because I know it's going to. Because look, it's got to, right? It's a little dog.
Say Westminster, it's a bunch of different things. There's a lot of different competitions here. Nico's ready to go.
Absolutely. It's been fun watching the Frenchies come out and start to do more athletic competition because as you can see with Miko, this dog is athletic. This dog has muscle. This dog is ready to move on this course and is doing exactly what Miko was asking her to do. Nice job sending her to the tunnel so she could get in front to manage this section of the course. Now you saw Miko's a little bit heavier. That board went down a little bit quicker.
Miko going to be fast enough. Just not quite, but a great run nonetheless.
That is a pretty cool dog. That is a pretty cool dog. That little dog. Now where's the big dogs at? I need to see the Weimaraners. But look at. But I bet you it. Do you think it can go as fast as the longer leg dogs? Because it's like so short legged. That's a cute looking dog. Oh, look at that one. Oh yeah, that one's gonna be the fastest one. Look at that thing. Current leader. Oh yeah. Look at that. Yeah, of course it's the current leader. Look at that dog. Oh, this one's got little. Sorry. This one's got little short legs. These dogs are amazing, Laura. My dog wouldn't be doing this. I mean, like, oh my gosh, they look so cute. They knocked the pillows all down, but they are laying here together. They got the, oh my gosh. They have the blanket off the chair and both the pillows. And then they knocked over the blue pillow because I forgot to zip it back up on there, like zips up on the back. Look at this little guy. Okay, let me show you these two if I can show you. Do you see these two? This is one. This is two back there. And then my pumpkin pillows right here. There are other little pillows back there and the blankets in between them. So look at these two. Let's see if they should show a Weimaraner. Look, he's still going. What are those dogs? Is that a corgi? Oh, Pumpkin's back there. You can't really see it too much because it's like you can see it flickering a little bit, but it's just the lights in here do that. But or not the lights, but the camera makes it do that. But it's in the back there, but I have that light on in the tree. Gotta go past Meds. Man, can you come to my house past me, Meds? Just kidding. The wiener dog races. Oh, let's see which one is this one. Oh, yes, it's still. Isn't that a corgi? Queen Elizabeth did. I could see that. I'll always have a big dog. I think. I'm just kidding. No, if I had to pick a dog to get another dog to have a third dog, I would have a Labradoodle or a Golden Doodle. One of the two. If I could have two at the same time, I would do that. I would definitely do that. But my girls are the best. I have the best girls. I have a Weimaraner and I have a Boxer Pit mix, and they're the best. I don't know. Is this another corgi? Or no, I think that's what it is. It looks like a mini husky. That's what I thought. But I'm like, maybe it is is it a corgi or is it? And it just looks like a husky. Husky colors, husky face. Look. Oh, it jumped. Did you cheat? Oh, wait, it went the opposite way. That's cute. And then it had to do it again. Oh, yeah, I bet. I bet, Dawn, for sure. Well, corgis almost look like the Lassie dogs. We used to have one. What are those? I can't think right now. Her name was Sammy. She was borderline collie. Very smart dogs. She would herd you everywhere though. And that's what Mia does, but she's a duck hunting dog, and I think that's why she herds people. Citizen Sleuth, I want one so bad. I want a mini golden so bad. It's like a little bear. Even Vincent says, looks like a little teddy bear. I'm like, I know. There's a girl that has 2 of them and they're puppies. And she walks them around. Oh, and I'm like, just give them to me. Just give me your dogs. Well, I thought we might get a big dog coming up. Is this dog's tail painted? Oh my gosh, they colored his tail pink. Why is your tail pink? We don't ask questions around here. Oh, I hope everything's okay with your son's dog. Oh, I hope everything's okay. Especially if you have to take it to the vet. Oh, Keyshawn? No, it was a borderline collie. That's what she was. Because she was a good dog. She was a very smart dog. Now, these dogs are smart. They just know they can get away with anything. That's the problem. They just know. Oh, they do it by breed? Oh, okay. I thought they did it by like class or something of dog. Like y'all got in the same 1 minute mark or whatever. Like that's how I thought it was, but I didn't know. Oh, I've never heard of that kind of dog before, Christina. There are some cool dogs though out there. Oh, they're hairless dogs? Oh, that could be cool. I could do without hair. Pet hair. Yeah, for sure. Which Mia is supposed to be like that. She doesn't shed that much. She doesn't. She's my cuddler too. She cuddles with me every night. I tried to put a pillow in between us last night. She knocked the pillow clean off the bed with her nose. She does it. She puts it under the pillow and then she pops her head up and knocks it. Lamps, they're going to break one day. Oh, well, class size and breed. Oh, okay. I'm about to say, I'm going to learn a lot from you guys because I don't know nothing about no dog races, but these dogs are cute. I'll be watching. I was kind of entertaining. That could help with anxiety, just watching the dog races. Well, maybe not. Because if you have your favorite dog, then you might get anxious. Buying a $36 staple gun for $8.99. I love that. They are little teddy bears. Oh, Pixie's your dog's name? Oh, that's so sweet. Old people and dogs, they don't get nothing cuter than that. That's got to be the cutest thing I've seen. You're going to have to take pictures. Be like, can I take some pictures of you guys playing with the dogs? I would love to see that. I would love that because I love seeing old people happy. And animals make them happy, you know? Oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry, Casey. Ours is a rescue. Raya is. Mia, I paid for her. You can tell. You can clearly tell which one lived on the streets for her whole life and which one didn't. And for some reason, I thought that Araya lived on the streets for a year and a half. And I thought that she was only a year and a half when we got her. But Vincent was telling me the other day that she was 3 when we got her. And I said, I picked out a 3-year-old dog because it was a night that we were like upset. Our dog had just passed. We went and got another dog like immediately. But I don't remember her being 3. So now I feel even worse for her because she's lived on the streets even longer, twice as long as I thought. So she can do whatever she wants around here. Like sleep with her sister. Mia has to sleep with Araya. They have another bed over here that's just as big as this bed. She has to cuddle. So it's cute. It's sweet. But I did start working on a documentary. I was like, what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of I'm saying sketch, but I didn't sketch it. I was typing it out. Like I was trying to get my script. That's what I'm trying to say. My script together. But I think the first one, I want to do a documentary over Idaho for, obviously, I've been wanting to do that for a very long time. And I think now's a great time to do it, especially with the 3-year anniversary coming up. And us, it's almost like, I kind of want to wait till I conclude the conclusion, but I think we're almost at the, like, we're almost there, you know, to where I could go ahead and start it and then add on to it, you know, do like chapter 2 if I need to. But the first documentary I think I'm going to put out is on a guy named Brian Schaefer. I don't know if you know who that is, but he went missing in Columbus back in 2006. He was going to school to be a doctor at Ohio State University. It was a huge case. It's still a huge case to this day. You know, almost 20 years later, they have never found him. He went into a bar where there was cameras. I've been in that bar multiple times. I know where the cameras are. I know that he should have been seen if he walked back out of that bar. Plus, there's a cop that's always posted there, and then 2 on the weekends, and this was the weekend. So I don't know. I wanted to do a documentary on him. It'll be really good, I think. I think you guys will enjoy it. I think a lot of you guys probably know the case, but you'll hear it again from me. So, yeah. And there's actually more info. So let me rewind this back for you all. Apparently, I heard today, and I don't know who these guys are. It's a podcast. It's called True Crime Garage, but you have to like be a member or a subscriber. You have to or not a subscriber, but like you have to subscribe to their podcast, which is fine. I'll do that for this update. But they were saying on the update that there's 3 doors at the Ugly Tuna. Well, I knew that. But is there 4 doors? Because there's 3 doors if you count going out to the if you go outside on there was a balcony. Well, that'd be 1 door that you walk in and out from, and then the back service door. But now they're saying there's an extra door that was covered up with like some sort of partition or something. And I'm going to really think about this because I remember that bar. I've been in that bar. Of course, I was drinking in that bar. I've even sang karaoke in that bar. I sang Piano Man, actually, with a band in that bar. So I'm trying to remember where everything kind of was. But there could have been another door. There could have been. But I don't know. You think if they had the other door, the cops would have known that. But maybe they didn't. I don't know. So I even thought about taking pictures when I'm up there Wednesday. I have to go up to Upper Arlington, which is above Ohio State, but maybe I'll come back down through that area and take some pictures of like where the Ugly Tuna used to be, because it's not there anymore. Or I'd go. Your girl would get out her brush off her driver's license, you know, probably got some cobwebs on it. Haven't had to give it to anybody in a long time. They might have some old photos. I know that they had the surveillance for that. So I'm going to look into that too. I'm going to see if I can get that stuff, because it's still considered like an investigation. So I don't think they released a lot of the things that they were supposed to, or, you know, like reports and stuff. So I'm going to look into it. I'm going to make sure this documentary is really good. And I want to know about that new door, because I just found out today, or tonight, I was like, yeah, I want to do that case. And I just heard about this like earlier today. So I was like, that's what made me think of it. So, but yeah, I'm going to jump off of here. I'll see you guys all either tomorrow or the next day. You guys will see me soon. Have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to hit the like button if you guys don't mind on your way out. And I will see you guys all on the next live. I may actually come on tomorrow just to do a quick live during the day. So that way we can go through the rest of the documents too. To get through the Idaho documents. So that way we don't have that like hanging there. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you guys all later. Have a wonderful evening. Sleep tight. Lock your doors, lock your windows. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a